Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel, a look at the year ahead and the vision Springfield Bishop William Byrne has for parishes throughout the Diocese of Springfield.
A beautiful turnout at the local Mass and March for Life. I'm Carolee McGrath. I'll have the story coming up.
And Dan Dumas has the latest news from the Diocese of Springfield. These stories are coming your way next on this edition of Reel to Reel. Hello and welcome to Reel to Reel. Well, it's a new year and there's a lot to look forward to in 2022. Tonight we take a look ahead at some of Springfield Bishop William Byrne's priorities for the coming year and the ministries and initiatives that will continue to spread the gospel message throughout Western Massachusetts. There was great joy on the Feast of the Epiphany as the three kings led the procession at Our Lady of the Sacred Heart Parish in Springfield.
Para que la fe de la Iglesia sea la estrella que brilla en todas partes del mundo y nos guíe hacia Cristo, roguemos al Señor.
Bishop William Byrne celebrated the 1145 Spanish Mass.
Porque esto es mi cuerpo que será entregado por ustedes.
The Feast of the Epiphany marks when the three kings came to visit the infant Jesus, bringing gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. After Mass, Bishop Byrne spoke about the new year and the many opportunities to grow in faith.
I have so many hopes and excited about this new year. In spite of the COVID and the pandemic, we've still had such beautiful things happen and that are going to continue to happen. This year we're celebrating the year of the Eucharist. We've got the opening and construction of a new Newman Center. We've got youth ministry is mushrooming. It's getting more alive and exciting, and also the growth of our Hispanic ministries here in the diocese.
Our Lady of the Sacred Heart Parish holds Eucharistic adoration the first Monday of every month from 7 to 9 p.m. Adoration is a focal point of the Year of the Eucharist, which is to help Catholics understand the teaching of the true presence of Christ in the Eucharist. Several 40-hour devotions are scheduled throughout the Diocese of Springfield during the Year of the Eucharist, which runs through October 7th. Bishop Byrne celebrated the opening Mass of the Year of the Eucharist on November 21st, 2021. Father Gary Daly is the chair of the Year of the Eucharist Committee for the Diocese of Springfield. He says parishioners are encouraged to come together in prayer and adoration before the Blessed Sacrament at events like the 40-hour devotions being held in parishes in the diocese. Folks can learn more about these by visiting the Year of the Eucharist website at yearoftheeucharist.net. The year will culminate with a Eucharistic Congress to be celebrated October 7th to the 9th at the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield.
So it's all fitting together, and we're hoping that this year will be just a great catechesis. The most important thing is catechesis, of helping people to know a deeper realization of really what the Eucharist is, the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ.
Father Daly is also the director of the Newman Catholic Center at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst, which will have a new worship space in 2022. 6 months into the construction, the foundation work is complete.
The new Newman Center underground is pretty much complete. All the pipes are there, and they've laid the slab for the entire floor. So now you can really see the footprint of the entire Newman Center. And soon, this month of January, they're waiting for some steel to come in mid-January, and then the steel will be going up in the side and the walls will start going up so that they can try to close as much as they can and to get some work done during the winter months.
The target date for the official dedication of the new $49 million center is set for August 21st. And another priority of Bishop Byrne is youth and young adult ministry. In 2021, Joe Austin was named director of the Diocesan Office of Young Adult Ministry and has spent the last 12 months speaking to parents and young adults as well as parishes, working toward growing and building programs like an evangelization boot camp as well as retreats, all geared toward young people throughout all areas of Western Massachusetts.
I had a lot of parents coming up to me looking for youth groups that their kids could be involved in. So the demand is really there from the parents and from the kids, and it's just a matter of trying to slowly build that in the right way, and delegating and finding the right people to lead that.
To learn more about youth ministry in the diocese, visit diospringfield.org. Well, the new year also brings with it the worldwide synod called for by Pope Francis. The theme is for a synodal church, communion, participation, and mission. The Pope is asking Catholics to discern God's mission for the church.
E anche delle nostre chiusure e dei nostri modelli pastorali rispettivi, a interrogarci su cosa ci vuole dire Dio in questo tempo e verso quale direzione vuole condurci.
The diocesan phase began on October 17, 2021, and will run through mid-2022, leading up to the Assembly of the Synod of Bishops in 2023. Listening sessions are planned, and people across the 4 counties of Western Massachusetts will have a chance to share their hopes and dreams to help shape the church for years to come.
It's a synod on synodality itself. So it's a question of how can we, as the church, that is the people of God, the body of Christ, active and alive in the world, how is it that we can journey together, here listening, that is, to the promptings of the Holy Spirit.
A busy year ahead for sure, and we will certainly be here to bring you updates of these events and more throughout 2022. And another diocesan initiative took an important step forward earlier this month. Back on January 12th, the Diocese of Springfield named a new Implementation and Oversight Committee, which will ensure that the recommendations of the Independent Task Force on the Response to Sexual Abuse will be put in place. The committee met for the first time this week. Carolee McGrath has more.
But a special thanks to all of you. I know it's a commitment, but it's a commitment to the good. And
Springfield Bishop William Byrne thanked the new Implementation and Oversight Committee, which is now in place. The committee is charged with ensuring that the recommendations of the Independent Task Force on the Response to Sexual Abuse within the Diocese of Springfield are put into practice. The task force released its report last September, which included 6 strategic initiatives to improve how the diocese responds to and handles allegations of clergy sexual abuse.
We had the task force, which developed a strategic plan. And then how do you implement it? Well, this is the beauty of the Implementation and Oversight Committee. This board is going to make sure that we are taking the necessary steps that the task force required of us, keeping us on track, but also what's so important is that it's completely independent, that it gives us a set of eyes that's not within our administration.
Committee member Peter Caffrey, a North Adams native, is a survivor of clergy sexual abuse. Caffrey and his wife have 2 children. Last year, he published the book, Bless Me, Father, for I Have Sinned, a memoir of healing, based loosely on his experience.
We want to make a sea change here. And is it easy? No, it's not easy, I don't think. I mean, there are a lot of aspects that go into this, a lot of thought that goes into this. How do you instill trust in the system for those who have been abused, so they feel like they're not getting abused again in the process? They can move into healing as in the way that's most appropriate for them and help to identify that. And how do you stop this from happening again?
Andrew Rome is the Deputy Commissioner for Field Operations for the Massachusetts Department of Early Education and Care. For more than 29 years, Rome served in senior legal positions at the Massachusetts Department of Children and Families. He was also appointed to the Diocesan Review Board last summer, which assesses cases of sexual abuse of minors and makes a recommendation to the bishop as to whether the allegations are credible.
Hopefully, as we move forward, people will then start realizing that this committee is going to actually do something and is going to make these changes that are needed. And we'll see that this is different than it has been in the past.
Some of the task force recommendations that the committee will now look to implement include a reintroduction of the Virtus training program or safe environment for both diocesan employees and at the parish level. They will also look at updating the code of conduct for employees and volunteers and establishing safe environment teams at each parish. Jeffrey Trant, director of the Diocesan Office of Safe Environment and Victim Assistance, will serve as senior staff to the committee.
Far too often when an organization develops a strategic plan, right, it's a glossy document that sits on a shelf and it gathers dust. The role of the Implementation and Oversight Committee is to take the work of the strategic plan that serves as a blueprint and to really turn that into concrete actions to ensure that the reforms that were recommended by the task force are truly brought to fruition.
The naming of this committee is the latest action undertaken by the diocese to improve its safe environment efforts. Under Trant's leadership, the diocese commissioned the Judge Peter Vilas investigation, brought on a new team of investigators, and signed a joint memorandum of understanding with the 3 district attorneys. The diocese also issued an updated list of persons credibly accused of sexual abuse of a minor last spring. Reporting for Reel to Reel in Springfield, I'm Carolee McGrath.
Sadly, just days after being named as a member of the new committee, Ron Johnson passed away. Johnson was the director of the Springfield-based Dr. Martin Luther King Family Services. He previously served on the independent task force whose recommendations will be the basis for the new Implementation and Oversight Committee. Bishop Byrne released a statement on Johnson's passing, which you can read on iobserve.org. Johnson leaves a wife and 2 children. And we have much more ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel. Dan Dumas takes a look at news from the Diocese of Springfield. And in support of life, supporters gather to pray for life in all stages and show public witness to this important cause. These stories are still ahead on Reel to Reel.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Reel to Reel news briefs. The start of a new year brings with it a new person to take up the reins of the Diocesan Development Office.
Jonathan Van Beaver always sets aside time each day to pray. A convert to Catholicism, Van Beaver says it's his life's mission to give thanks and give back.
I think when we realize that everything that Jesus has done for us and how important it is to be in a community of believers and everything our faith does for us, that makes us want to give back our time, talents, and treasure. So in terms of helping people see why it's important to give, I think we want to focus on evangelization and helping parishioners really focus on discipleship.
Van Beaver, who graduated from Providence College, is the new Director of Development for the Diocese of Springfield. The Wilbraham native will be responsible for fundraising campaigns to include overseeing the annual Catholic Appeal. He most recently worked for Guidance in Giving, which provides fundraising services to Catholic parishes and dioceses nationwide. Van Beaver worked with the Diocese of Providence, helping to raise more than $2 million. He also helped the Diocese of Worcester, raising $6 million during the pandemic.
My goal is to aid the parishes. I like to meet with every parish in the first 6 months, and I really like to learn what the parishes need in terms of development and in terms of raising funds. And I like to do everything I can to help strengthen these parishes and to help strengthen the diocese as a whole as well.
As far as his personal story, Van Beaver went on a mission trip when he was at Providence, which started him on the path to the Catholic Church.
I went to Jamaica with a priest that Bishop Byrne helped lead to the priesthood in Maryland. And in Jamaica, I realized that I was living my life for myself. So I really started to look more into my faith and look into my priorities. I mean, through prayer and the sacraments, I ended up becoming Catholic. And then within 2 months, I decided to become a missionary in Detroit, Michigan. And I worked as a Catholic campus minister at a college in Detroit, living off $100 a month. And that was very much a blessing, personally and professionally. and very much an opportunity to really grow in my faith, see how other people lived, and really see the faith lived out.
Van Beaver hopes to inspire others to also give of their time, talent, and treasure to ensure the most vulnerable among us are cared for.
In other news, St. Michael's Cathedral was also the location for a gathering of priests last fall. Sharon Roulier tells us more.
The annual celebration of the priesthood was held October 11th at St. Michael's Cathedral in Springfield, a day for priests to gather in camaraderie while also recognizing those who are marking significant anniversaries of their ordinations this year.
The celebration of priesthood is important to remind us all of the gift of Jesus' priesthood as lived in these good and faithful men who have given their lives and every day get up and take care of the sick, bury the dead, marry those, baptize us, but most importantly, give us the Eucharist. And we need to celebrate them. They're all heroes.
And one Virginia man has taken an important step towards joining our diocesan priests. On Wednesday, October 27th, Archbishop Timothy Broglio, Archbishop of the Military Services for the United States, presided over the rite of admission to candidacy for holy orders for 9 seminarians at Pope St. John XXIII Seminary in Weston. Among those received in candidacy for the priesthood was John Paul Williams, a native of Virginia who was accepted by Springfield Bishop William Byrne to study for the priesthood for the Diocese of Springfield. Williams, who is 39 years old, is a former U.S. Marine and longtime religious studies teacher at Brebeuf Jesuit Prep School in Indianapolis. While studying at the seminary, Williams is currently in residence at St. Anne Parish in Chicopee. We wish him well in his formation. Finally, Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament in Westfield has been recognizing and celebrating our veterans for 11 years. Many parishioners attended this year's ceremony held after Mass at perhaps the only Veterans Garden in our diocese. Father Daniel Pekalik, the church's pastor, gave a wonderful homily about why they hold these ceremonies at least twice each year.
Like the poor widow in today's gospel, who gave all that she had, very much those who serve also give a great deal. They sometimes give everything they have. They make the ultimate sacrifice. It is important for us to teach our children and our children's children the great gift of freedom that we enjoy in this country, and to also respect the great ideals of our country and those who defend those ideals in times of war and in times of peace.
Westfield Honor Guard were present, and this year Girl Scouts were given the honor of raising a new flag at the garden ceremony after Mass.
It's very special to hear a person that has served in the Army and be a part of the flag raising.
Since I've been a member of Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament, Father Dan has bent over backwards to honor our veterans, those here and those no longer with us.
Parishioners recognize those veterans and active duty service members present. And in a special way, they are remembered at each Mass.
Through every week throughout the year, the little basket on the altar contains the names of those serving in active duty that have been submitted by all of you. There's names in there that have been there for 10 years, and it's beautiful that they remain on the altar, that once they serve, once we pray for them, we never stop praying for them. The year after we opened this church, we decided to do something that was a little unique in establishing a Veterans Memorial on our property. It's extremely important for us to honor the men and women who have served our country. Especially, we remember those soldiers in Afghanistan who most recently lost their lives tragically. We remember them and their family. My friends, the freedoms that we enjoy are won for us by the men and women who serve over the years. We thank them for their service, and we continue to ask God to bless them.
Father Pekalik offered that blessing.
In recognition of their loyal service to our nation, bless them with wholeness and love, shelter them, heal their wounds, comfort their hearts, and grant them peace.
Remember, you can always stay informed on all the latest news in the Catholic Church locally and beyond by logging on to iobserve.org. There you can find articles from our Catholic communication staff, as well as view on-demand episodes of Real to Real. That's iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and those were your Real to Real news briefs.
Like Catholic TV on Facebook. Once you're there, you can join in on discussions, make friends with other Catholic TV fans, watch behind-the-scenes videos from the studio,
Just finished this today.
and stay up to date with the Catholic world. All this at facebook.com/CatholicTV.
Travel with Catholic Communications in August 2022 for the pilgrimage of a lifetime as we experience the famous Oberammergau Passion Play. Join pilgrimage leader Father Gary Daly for the spiritual journey to Germany and the village of Oberammergau, where since 1634 the Passion Play has been presented every 10 years in this quaint alpine village. Our 10-day pilgrimage from August 4th to the 14th will begin in Brussels, Belgium, and continue through Cologne, Heidelberg, Oberammergau, and Munich, Germany. With breakfasts and dinners included, pilgrims will enjoy daily Mass in many of Germany's brilliant cathedrals and churches, a cruise on the Rhine River, a visit to the Schoenstatt Pilgrimage Shrine, dedicated to the Blessed Virgin, and to Munich's famous Glockenspiel. Book this incredible pilgrimage now for $5,439. For more information, go to iobserve.org.
All our lives, we've been told,
Work hard. Achieve.
Get to the next level.
but sometimes our best efforts fall short. We start to think maybe we don't have what it takes.
Or maybe we do.
Jesus took on the sins of the whole world. He conquered even death itself.
He invites us to follow him. He wants us to trust him.
And through him, through his body and blood, we are united in Jesus. And to each other.
Everything we're searching for.
Hail Mary, full of grace.
Our hopes and our dreams.
Points to a Father.
Who loves us unconditionally.
Who called us by name.
If you knew that receiving the Eucharist would change your life and change the world,
What will you do?
what would you do?
What would you do? Join us for the Year of the Eucharist.
This year commemorates the 49th anniversary of Roe v. Wade's Supreme Court decision which legalized abortion in America. And while the National March for Life was held in Washington yesterday, the local march was also held this week in the diocese as people gathered to pray and witness for the protection of every human life. Carolyn McGrath returns now with the story.
Come, now is the time to worship.
With lifted voices and full of hope, people gathered at St. Michael's Cathedral in Springfield for the annual Respect Life Mass, celebrated by Springfield's Bishop William Byrne. The Mass was followed by a March for Life. The local event and the March for Life in Washington, D.C. commemorate the 49th anniversary of the Supreme Court's controversial Roe v. Wade decision, which legalized abortion on demand. Students from Pope Francis Prep in Springfield, St. Mary's High School in Westfield, Catholic homeschoolers, and students from local parishes were in attendance.
I'm a part of the Respect for Life Club at our school, which is really nice to get involved with that. We're spreading a curriculum around religion classrooms, which is really nice. So it's really important to spread the mission. I was lucky to do the Prayers of the Faithful, which really prayed for everyone affected by abortion.
Life is so precious, it's innocent, it's important, we need to stand for it, especially, with Pope Francis Prep and St. Mary's being here, a lot of youth here, which is awesome, and we got to keep spreading it around, keep fighting for life.
It's a life, every life matters, and it's really important to support that. I believe it, so many other people believe it.
No life is a burden.
In his homily, Bishop Byrne mentioned the staggering statistics since Roe v. Wade, more than 64 million abortions. He also said love and mercy will lead the way in changing hearts.
What we're talking about is we're talking about conversion and converting our culture, but that conversion begins with our own heart, always to seek Christ first and seek Christ in the other.
After Mass, participants walked through downtown Springfield to City Hall. There, students recited pro-life quotes, and the bishop led the crowd in prayer.
Pray, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Christ said, as I did, you do likewise. He came out and advocated for every soul. And every soul that is born of God has to be advocated for it.
One takeaway from this event is that it's a movement rooted in love. It's a sacrifice for people to come to these marches. They have to take off from school or take off from work, but it's a sacrifice they're willing to make to help other people understand that life is truly a gift from God.
Like what Bishop Byrne was saying, and how, we're all humans, right? And God created everyone with a specific talent and gift and everything. And so what does that say about us if we decide to take that away from people?
It's about allowing love to manifest itself in the children that God creates. That love, we can't stifle it. We have to support that life and that love come into the world.
The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace.
Throughout the morning, prayers were also offered for women and men left heartbroken from a past abortion, for the elderly, sick, and lonely, for life from conception to natural death. Participants hope more people will join them, leading with love and standing for life. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Carolee McGrath.
And this year's pro-life marches were held amid the backdrop of an important Supreme Court case which may begin to reverse the Roe v. Wade decision. The outcome of that case will be announced late in June. And for more information on pro-life ministries, especially resources for mothers facing a crisis pregnancy and post-abortive counseling, visit the Respect Life office page at diospringfield.org. And Holy Cross Parish in Springfield invites you to take part in a new Bible study, a biblical walk through the Mass, Wednesday evenings from 7 to 9 p.m. at Holy Cross Parish Rectory, January 26th through February 23rd. This 5-week program explores the biblical roots of the Mass, what it all means, and why it all matters. If you're interested, please contact Mary Hart at 413-455-4778 or email maryhart.avon@yahoo.com. All are welcome. And for this week, that's Reel to Reel. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to follow the latest news of the Catholic Church both here in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world on our news and information site, iobserve.org, and also on Facebook at Catholic Communications. I will see you right back here next week at this same time for Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. See you then.
Reel to Reel is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.